The massive alien ship appeared in Earth's solar system on a Tuesday morning. Captain Jake Morrison was drinking his coffee at Luna Base when the alarm system started screaming. Red lights flashed across the control room as dozens of technicians rushed to their stations. "Sir, we have a contact," called out Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez from her position at the sensor array. It's huge. 15 miles long? Maybe more? Jake set down his coffee cup and walked over to the main display screen. The ship looked like nothing humans had ever built. It was sleek and white, with curved edges that seemed to flow like water. Strange lights pulsed along its surface in patterns that hurt to look at for too long. "Any weapon signatures?" Jake asked. "None that we can detect, sir. But our sensors are having trouble reading their technology. It's unlike anything in our databases." Jake nodded and reached for the communication controls. Before he could speak, a voice filled the control room. It spoke perfect English, though something about the tone felt wrong. Too smooth, too precise. "Greetings, inhabitants of the third planet. I am Commander Vextel of the Galactic Council vessel Zenith Prime. We come in peace to extend an invitation to your species." Jake pressed the transmit button. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. Welcome to our solar system. What kind of invitation?" There was a pause before Vextel responded. When he did, Jake could hear something in his voice that made his jaw clench. It was the tone adults used when talking to small children. "We have been watching your species for some time, Captain Morrison. Your recent achievements in space travel have caught our attention. The Galactic Council has decided to offer your people membership in our organization." Jake exchanged glances with Lieutenant Rodriguez. First contact with aliens was supposed to be humanity's greatest moment, so why did he feel like he was being talked down to? "It's very generous," Jake said carefully. "What does membership involve?" "The Council represents over 300 species across the galaxy. Share technology, knowledge, and resources. Even the weakest species can benefit from our guidance." There it was again, a condescending tone. "We look forward to learning more," Jake replied, keeping his voice steady. Dr. Lisa Carter burst into the control room at that moment. She was Earth's top expert on alien life, though until today, that had been entirely theoretical. It was messy, and she was still wearing her lab coat over pajamas. "Jake, I've been monitoring the transmission. Our ship's design suggests they come from a low-gravity environment." "Right. Look at the structure." She pointed to the display screen. "Those support beams are too thin for Earth standard construction, and the materials appear lightweight." Jake nodded and turned back to the communicator. "Commander Vextel, we'd be honored to meet with you. Would you prefer to meet on your ship or ours? We'll send representatives to your space station. Our species has experience adapting to various environments. However, I must warn you that our physical forms may seem advanced compared to your own. Please do not be intimidated." Jake felt his teeth grind together. "We'll do our best to cope." 3 hours later, Jake watched through the observation window as the alien shuttle approached Luna Base's docking bay. The craft was beautiful, all smooth curves and glowing panels. It moved with impossible grace, like a leaf floating on water. The docking sequence took longer than usual. The alien shuttle seemed to have trouble with Luna Base's mechanical clamps. As if they weren't built for such rough handling, Jake stood in the docking bay with Dr. Carter and a small welcoming committee. They wore their dress uniforms and tried to look as professional as possible. This was humanity's first impression on the galactic stage. The shuttle's door opened with a soft hiss. What stepped out made Jake's eyes widen. Commander Vextel was nearly 8 feet tall, but he looked like he might blow away in a strong wind. His limbs were impossibly thin, like branches on a winter tree. His skin was pale blue and seemed almost transparent. When he moved, it was with flowing, graceful motions that seemed to defy physics. Behind him came other aliens. Each was from a different species, but they shared the same general characteristics. Tall, thin, delicate, they moved like dancers, barely seeming to touch the ground. "Captain Morrison," Vextal said, his voice now coming from a small device. On his chest, "I am pleased to meet you in person." Jake stepped forward and extended his hand. Vextal looked at it for a moment, then reached out with his own hand. Jake was shocked at how light the grip felt, like shaking hands with a child. "Welcome to Luna Base," Jake said. "These are my colleagues, Dr. Lisa Carter and Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez." Each alien representative introduced themselves. There was Counselor Zarek, whose crystalline body refracted light into rainbow patterns. Engineer Nixel, who seemed to be made of some kind of metallic fluid. Commander YTHLA, whose gaseous form was contained in a transparent suit. As they walked through Luna Base's corridors, Jake noticed how the aliens moved. They seemed to float rather than walk, their movements smooth and effortless. In contrast, Jake and his team's footsteps sounded heavy and clumsy. "Your station is quite sturdy," observed Zarek, running a crystalline finger along the metal wall, though perhaps over-engineered. "Such thick materials seem unnecessary. We build things to last," Jake replied. "Clearly. Your species appears to favor brute strength over elegance." Vextal's tone suggested this was not a compliment. They gathered in the main conference room. The aliens took their seats carefully, as if the chairs might break under their weight, though given how thin they were, Jake doubted they weighed much at all. "Let me explain the situation," Vextal began. "The Galactic Council has been observing your species for several decades. Your technological progress is admirable, though primitive by galactic standards." Jake felt his jaw clench again, but he kept quiet. "However, we have concerns about your species' physical development. You appear to have evolved in an unusually harsh environment. Your bone density is extreme, your muscle mass excessive. Now, these traits suggest your home world failed to provide optimal conditions for intelligent life." Dr. Carter leaned forward. "Our planet's gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared. What's the gravity on your homeworlds?" The aliens exchanged what might have been glances. Vextal answered, "My planet's gravitational force is approximately 2.9 meters per second squared, quite sufficient for civilized life." "That's less than 1/3 of Earth's gravity," Dr. Carter said quietly. "Indeed, most Council worlds maintain gravity between 1.5 and 4.0 meters per second squared. Anything higher is considered unsuitable for intelligent species." Jake began to understand. These aliens had never encountered a species from a high-gravity world. To them, humans looked like over-muscled brutes because they couldn't imagine the forces that had shaped human evolution. "Your species shows promise despite these disadvantages," Vextal continued. "With proper guidance, you might overcome your physical limitations. The Council is prepared to offer you junior membership." "Junior membership?" Lieutenant Rodriguez asked. "A probationary status. You would have access to basic Council resources and technology. In time, if you prove capable of advancement, full membership might be possible." Jake looked around the table at his team. He could see the same thought in their eyes. These aliens thought they were doing humanity a favor. They saw humans as disabled creatures who needed help to function in civilized society. "We appreciate the offer," Jake said finally, "but we'd like to propose a cultural exchange first. Some of our people could visit your ship and some of your people could visit Earth." Vextal seemed pleased by this suggestion. "An excellent idea. It'll give you a chance to see what proper civilization looks like. And perhaps seeing your homeworld will help us understand how your species survived such harsh conditions." As the meeting ended and the aliens prepared to return to their shuttle, Jake overheard Zarak speaking to another representative in what she probably thought was a private conversation. "Such a pity," she said, her crystalline voice chiming softly. "They seem intelligent enough, but look at them, so short and thick and heavy. They move like they're carrying invisible weights." Jake smiled grimly as he watched the alien delegation float gracefully back to their shuttle. They had no idea what was coming. Soon, these delicate, graceful beings would experience exactly what those invisible weights felt like. Earth's gravity was about to teach the galaxy a lesson about strength. 2 days after the first meeting, the Galactic Council's massive ship moved closer to Earth. Commander Vextal sent word that the human delegation was welcome aboard the Zenith Prime, Captain. Jake Morrison selected his team carefully for this historic visit. Ambassador Kevin Hayes would lead the group. He was a career diplomat who had handled tough negotiations with foreign governments. If anyone could navigate alien politics, So was Kevin. Colonel Amy Rodriguez joined the team as military advisor. Dr. Ben Clark, a physicist who specialized in gravity and space mechanics, would study their technology. Engineer Tony Smith rounded out the group with his expertise in life support systems. The human shuttle Intrepid launched from Luna Base at dawn. Jake watched from the control room as his people headed toward the alien vessel. The Zenith Prime grew larger as they approached, its white surface gleaming in the sunlight. Strange symbols covered the hull in flowing patterns that seemed to shift when looked at directly. Intrepid to Luna Base, Kevin's voice crackled over the radio. We're beginning our approach to the docking bay. The size of this thing is incredible. Alien docking bay was unlike anything humans had ever seen. Instead of mechanical clamps and metal platforms, it was a vast, open space, filled with floating walkways and anti-gravity fields. The Intrepid touched down on a platform that seemed to be made of solid light. Kevin Hayes stepped out of the shuttle, first, followed by his team. They wore standard spacesuits, not knowing what to expect from the alien environment. The air was breathable, their sensors confirmed, but it felt strange. It's a light. Somehow Commander Vextel glided toward them. Across the docking bay, he moved without seeming to touch the ground, his tall frame swaying like seaweed in an ocean current. Behind him came a group of other aliens, each more unusual than the last. Welcome aboard the Zenith Prime, Vextel said, his translator device. Converting his words to English, you honor us with your presence. Kevin removed his helmet and breathed the alien air. It was clean and fresh, with a faint scent like morning flowers. Thank you for having us, Commander. We're eager to learn about your civilization. As they walked through the ship's corridors, Kevin noticed how different everything was from human construction. The walls curved in impossible ways, defying geometry. Doorways flowed open like water when they approached, then sealed seamlessly behind them. Everything was delicate, beautiful, and utterly alien. Your people seem to struggle with movement in our environment, observed Counselor Zarek, her crystalline body chiming softly as she walked. The lack of excessive gravitational force must be disorienting for your species. Colonel Rodriguez tried to hide her irritation. The aliens kept making comments about human limitations, as if they were discussing a disability. In truth, the zero-gravity environment was challenging for the humans, but they adapted quickly. Years of space training had prepared them for this. The ship's main council chamber was breathtaking. It was a sphere nearly a mile across, with no defined floor or ceiling. Floating platforms provided places to stand or sit, connected by streams of flowing energy that served as transportation. Hundreds of aliens from dozens of species moved through the space with graceful ease. This is where the Galactic Council meets, Vextel explained. Representatives from 300 worlds gather here to share knowledge and make decisions that affect the entire galaxy. Dr. Clark stared at the engineering marvel around them. How do you maintain structural integrity in such a large space without gravity? We use field generators to create localized gravitational effects, replied Engineer Nixel, his metallic form rippling as he spoke. Nothing too strong, of course. Most civilized species find anything above 0.5 standard units uncomfortable. What's a standard unit? Tony Smith asked. The gravitational force of the Council's original homeworld. Approximately 1.96 meters per second squared in your measurements. Tony did quick math in his head. That was 1/5 of Earth's gravity. These aliens literally lived in what humans would consider a low-gravity environment. The aliens led them to a smaller chamber where they could talk privately. As they settled onto floating chairs that adjusted to their bodies, Vextel began to outline the challenges facing humanity. The Council has reviewed your species' development, he said. While your intelligence is adequate, your physical form presents problems. You are short, dense, and heavily muscled. These traits suggest evolution on a world with hostile conditions. Our world shaped us, Kevin replied diplomatically. We adapted to survive. Indeed, but such adaptations come with costs. You lack the grace and elegance that define civilized species. Your movements are heavy and clumsy. Your technology is crude and overbuilt. Colonel Rodriguez felt her hands clench into fists. She forced herself to relax. Starting a fight with aliens on their first diplomatic meeting would be a bad idea. To test your suitability for council membership, we have prepared a series of challenges, Counselor Zarek announced. These will demonstrate whether your species can function in civilized society. The first challenge took place in a vast chamber filled with floating obstacles. The goal was to navigate from one end to the other without touching any of the barriers. The aliens moved through the course like fish swimming through water, their bodies flowing around obstacles with impossible grace. Kevin went first among the humans. He pushed off from the starting platform and tried to glide through the course. His movements were controlled and precise, but compared to the aliens, he looked clumsy. He bumped into 2 obstacles and had to grab a third to stop his momentum. Colonel Rodriguez did better, her military training showing as she used minimal movements to navigate the course. But even her best effort looked awkward next to the aliens. Fluid motions. Acceptable, Vextel commented. Though clearly your species lacks the natural grace for this type of movement. The second challenge involved manipulating delicate crystal formations while floating in zero gravity. The humans had to use special tools to adjust the crystal's positions according to a complex pattern. The aliens completed the task effortlessly, their thin fingers dancing over the controls. Dr. Clark struggled with the delicate work. His human hands, evolved for gripping and strength, seemed too large and crude for the precise movements required. He managed to complete the pattern, but it took him 3 times longer than the aliens. Your appendages are clearly designed for crude manipulation, observed Engineer Nixel. Useful for primitive tool use, but lacking in precision. The final challenge was a test of endurance. Contestants had to remain motionless in a meditation pose while floating in zero gravity. The aliens settled into their positions like they were born for it, their bodies perfectly still. Tony Smith found the test almost impossible.
Help.
Without gravity to anchor him, every tiny movement sent him drifting. He had to constantly make small adjustments to maintain his position. After 30 minutes, he was exhausted from the constant micro-corrections. This confirms our assessment, Vextel said as the challenges concluded. Your species is adapted for high-stress environments, but this limits your capability in civilized conditions. You perform adequately, but you will need extensive training to reach even basic council standards. The humans exchanged glances. They had performed reasonably well, but the aliens clearly saw their efforts as proof of human inferiority. We appreciate the opportunity to demonstrate our abilities, Kevin said carefully. Now we'd like to extend the same invitation to you. Would some of your people be willing to visit Earth? The aliens seemed pleased by this suggestion. An excellent idea, Vextel replied. Seeing your homeworld will help us understand how your species survives such harsh conditions. We can bring medical equipment and environmental suits to protect our delegation from your planet's excessive gravitational force. That won't be necessary, Colonel Rodriguez said with a slight smile. Earth's gravity isn't that bad. We live there just fine. Zarek-TH's crystalline form chimed with what might have been laughter. Of course you do. We evolved there. But for civilized species, your world's gravitational field would be quite dangerous. We estimate it at nearly 10 standard units. 10 times normal gravity, Dr. Clark murmured. No wonder they think we're overbuilt. We'll make sure you're comfortable, Tony Smith assured them. Our medical team will be standing by. As the human delegation prepared to return to their shuttle, they overheard a conversation between 2 alien representatives. The aliens spoke in their own language, but their universal translators converted the words to English. Poor creatures. One said, Imagine being trapped on a world with such crushing gravity. No wonder they're so short and thick. They seem intelligent despite their disabilities, the other replied. Perhaps we can help them overcome their limitations. Kevin Hayes smiled grimly as he climbed into the Intrepid. The aliens had no idea what they were volunteering for. Earth's gravity, which they saw as a crushing disability, was about to teach them the true meaning of strength. As the shuttle pulled away from the Zenith Prime, Colonel Rodriguez spoke what they were all thinking. They're going to learn the hard way that we're not the weak ones in this relationship. The alien shuttle began its descent toward Earth 3 days later. Commander Vextel sat in the pilot's chair, his 8-foot frame folded gracefully into the control seat. Behind him, 11 other alien representatives prepared for their first visit to a high-gravity world. Approaching the outer atmosphere, announced the ship's computer in a melodic voice. Gravitational force increasing to 2.5 standard units. Counselor Zarek shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Her crystalline body, which normally felt weightless, now pressed against the cushions with unfamiliar pressure. The gravitational field is stronger than expected. Nothing we cannot handle, Vextel replied, though his voice carried a note of strain. Our bodies are more adaptable than those crude humans realize. As the shuttle pushed deeper into Earth's atmosphere, the aliens began to experience sensations they had never felt before. What started as mild discomfort grew into something more. Alarming engineer Nixel's metallic form began to sag under its own weight. His fluid body, which flowed like water in zero gravity, now struggled to maintain its shape. The gravitational stress is affecting my molecular structure, he reported with growing concern. Gravitational force now at 5.8 standard units and climbing. The computer announced. Commander Ethal's gaseous form pressed against the walls of her containment suit. The transparent material designed for the gentle conditions of space began to show stress fractures under the increasing pressure. Down on Earth's surface, Dr. Lisa Carter waited at the landing site with her medical team. She had tried to warn the aliens about Earth's gravity, but they had dismissed her concerns as exaggeration. She watched their shuttle descend with growing worry. Medical team, stand by, she called into her radio. I have a feeling we're going to need all hands. On deck. Captain Jake Morrison stood beside her, along with Colonel Amy Rodriguez and Engineer Tony Smith. They had all experienced the aliens' condescending attitude firsthand. Part of Jake felt guilty for what was about to happen, but another part looked forward to seeing the aliens' reaction to real gravity. Gravitational force at 8.2 standard units, the shuttle computer reported. Alarm sounds began beeping throughout the craft. Vextel tried to stand up from his chair but found his legs wouldn't support him. His lightweight frame, perfectly adapted for low gravity, buckled under the crushing weight of Earth's pull. Breath became a struggle as his chest fought against the downward pressure. I cannot move, gasped Counselor Zaroth. Her crystalline body made sounds like breaking glass as internal stress fractures began to form. The delicate structures that gave her species their beauty were never meant to support their own weight. Emergency landing procedures initiated, the computer announced. All passengers remain seated. Gravitational force at 9.7 standard units. 3 of the alien representatives had already lost consciousness. Their bodies, evolved over millions of years in gentle environments, simply could not cope with the relentless downward pull of Earth's gravity. The shuttle touched down with a heavy thud that would have been gentle in space but felt like a crash. Landing under Earth's conditions, warning lights flashed throughout the craft as life support systems struggled to keep the passengers alive. We have landed, Vextel managed to whisper into his communicator. Request immediate assistance. ... Dr. Carter's team sprang into action. They had prepared gravity-reducing suits and medical equipment, though the aliens had previously refused such help. Pride was no longer a luxury they could afford. Jake Morrison approached the shuttle's airlock. Through the small window he could see the alien delegation collapsed in their seats, their graceful forms now twisted and broken, looking under Earth's relentless pull. Commander Vextel, this is Captain Morrison. We're here to help. Can you open the airlock, Kenna? ... Move, came the strained reply. 2... heavy. Tony Smith worked quickly to override the shuttle's airlock controls. The door slid open with a soft hiss, revealing the aliens in their distressed state. Vextel lay crumpled in his pilot's chair. His 8-foot frame folded in on itself like a broken tree branch. His pale blue skin had turned an alarming shade of purple as his circulatory system fought against gravity's compression. Counselor Zarak made soft, chiming sounds of distress. Her beautiful crystalline body showed cracks and stress fractures throughout its structure. Each breath sent spiderweb patterns racing across her transparent form. 3 aliens had completely lost consciousness. Engineer Nixel's metallic body had pooled at the bottom of his seat like spilled mercury. Commander Athala's containment suit showed dangerous pressure readings as her gaseous form compressed beyond safe limits. "Get the gravity suits," Dr. Carter called to her team. "Move fast, but be gentle. Her bone structure is incredibly fragile." Jake Morrison lifted Commander Vextel from his chair, amazed at how light the alien felt despite his size. What would have been an impossible task for the aliens was effortless for a human adapted to Earth's gravity. "How can you move so?" Isley Vextel gasped as Jake carried him toward a medical transport. "This is normal for us," Jake replied. "We've lived with this gravity our whole lives." Colonel Rodriguez helped move the other conscious aliens, while the medical team worked on those who had fainted. Each human moved with easy confidence, performing tasks that would have required heavy machinery on the aliens. Homed, Dr. Carter supervised the treatment of the unconscious aliens. "Their cardiovascular systems are shutting down," she reported. "They're not designed for this kind of pressure." The medical facility had been equipped with variable gravity chambers for the alien visit. Each representative was moved into a reduced gravity environment. They slowly began to recover. Vextel was the first to regain his ability to speak coherently. He lay in a medical bed surrounded by gravity-reducing fields, staring up at Dr. Carter with new understanding in his large eyes. "Your planet's gravitational force," he said slowly. "It would kill most council species in minutes." "We tried to warn you," Dr. Carter replied gently. "Earth's gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared. That's 3 to 10 times stronger than any council world." "But you live there," Vextel said, his voice filled with wonder. "You walk around as if it were nothing." Jake Morrison entered the medical bay carrying a piece of equipment that weighed several hundred pounds. He set it down gently beside Vextel's bed, the task requiring no more effort than carrying a briefcase. "Every human you've met has spent their entire life fighting against a force that would crush your bones," Jake explained. "Every step we take, every movement we make, is performed against that crushing weight." Counselor Zarek, her crystalline form now stabilized in a low-gravity field, spoke in hushed tones. "We called you weak. We thought your muscle mass was excessive, your bone density primitive." "You're not primitive," Engineer Nixel said, his metallic form slowly returning to its normal shape. "You're the strongest beings in the galaxy," Colonel Rodriguez demonstrated by doing a simple push-up next to the aliens' medical beds. The movement, which required lifting her entire body weight against Earth's gravity, was impossible for any of the alien species to even imagine performing. "This is just normal exercise for us," she explained. Children on our world can do this." The aliens watched in amazement as Tony Smith lifted and moved heavy medical equipment around the room. Tasks that would require multiple aliens and mechanical assistants were performed by one human with casual ease. "Your entire species," Vextel said slowly, "every single one of you, possesses strength that we cannot comprehend." Dr. Carter nodded. "Earth's gravity shaped us over millions of years. Our bones are dense to avoid breaking under the pressure. Our muscles are strong to move our bodies against the constant downward pull. Our hearts are powerful to pump blood upward against gravity's resistance." As the day continued and more aliens recovered, they began to understand the true scope of human capability. What they had interpreted as crude, over-muscled physiques were actually incredible. Evolutionary adaptations to an environment more hostile than anything in their experience. "We have been fools," Vextel admitted as he watched Jake Morrison effortlessly lift equipment that would crush an alien. "We judged you by our standards, never understanding that you have been living your entire lives under conditions that would destroy us. The revelation changed everything. The weak, primitive humans were actually the strongest species the galaxy had ever encountered, forged by Earth's crushing gravity into beings of incredible power and endurance." 3 days after the alien delegation's disastrous first encounter with Earth's gravity, Commander Vextel sat in a special recovery chamber at the medical facility. The gravity field around his bed was set to 0.3 standard units, matching his homeworld's conditions. Even so, he felt changed by his experience on Earth's surface. Dr. Lisa Carter entered the room, carrying a tablet with medical readings. She had been monitoring all the alien representatives since their arrival, and their recovery was progressing well. More importantly, their understanding of humanity was completely transformed. "How are you feeling today, Commander?" she asked, settling into a chair beside his bed. "Better," Vextal replied, though his voice still carried notes of amazement. "But I cannot stop thinking about what I experienced. The weight, the pressure, the crushing force that never stops pulling down. How do your people endure it?" "We don't endure it," Dr. Carter explained patiently. "We adapted to it over millions of years. Earth's gravity shaped every part of our bodies, from our bones to our blood vessels." She activated a holographic display showing human anatomy. "Look at our skeleton structure. Our bones are incredibly dense compared to yours. They have to be, or they would break under our own weight." Vextal studied the display with fascination. The human bones appeared massively thick compared to his own delicate frame. "Your leg bones are 3 times the density of ours," he observed. "And our muscles," Dr. Carter continued, switching the display to show human muscle groups. "Every single movement we make requires strength that would be impossible for your species. When a human walks, they're lifting their entire body weight with each step against a force trying to pull them down." Colonel Amy Rodriguez entered the medical bay at that moment, having just finished her daily workout, while she wore exercise clothes, and was barely breathing hard, despite having just completed a routine that would kill most alien species. "Colonel Rodriguez," Dr. Carter said, "would you mind demonstrating some basic human capabilities for our guests?" Amy nodded and moved to an open area of the medical bay. The conscious alien representatives watched with intense curiosity from their low-gravity beds. "This is a simple jumping exercise we call jumping jacks," Amy explained. She began the movement, jumping up and spreading her legs while raising her arms above her head, then jumping back to the starting position. The aliens watched in stunned silence. Each jump required Amy to lift her entire body weight against Earth's crushing gravity, then control her landing to avoid injury. She performed 50 repetitions without seeming tired. "On my homeworld," whispered Counselor Zarath, "such movement would require anti-gravity assistance and mechanical amplification. For us, it's basic exercise," Amy replied. "Children learn this in school." Dr. Carter pulled up a video on her tablet showing human children at play. The aliens watched 8-year-old kids running, jumping, climbing playground equipment, and playing sports. Every movement demonstrated strength that exceeded anything possible for adult members of Council. "Species! Your offspring," Engineer Nixel said, its metallic form rippling with emotion, "are stronger than our greatest warriors." Amy demonstrated push-ups next, lowering her body to the floor and pressing back up using only her arms. The movement required lifting roughly 60% of her body weight against gravity multiple times. "I can do about 80% of these," she said conversationally. "That's not even particularly impressive by human standards." Vextal tried to imagine the strength required. For such a feat, on his homeworld, it would take mechanical assistance to achieve anything similar. "Show us more," he requested. Amy moved to a weight bench that had been set up for human use. She loaded it with 200 pounds and began performing bench presses, lifting the weight from her chest to full arm extension repeatedly. "This is moderate weight training for a human female," she explained between repetitions. "Male humans typically lift much more." As if summoned by her words, Captain Jake Morrison entered the medical bay. He approached the weight bench and added another 100 pounds to Amy's load. "Mind if I show them what average looks like?" he asked with a grin. Jake positioned himself on the bench and began lifting the 300-pound weight with steady, controlled movements. The aliens watched in complete silence as he performed 20 repetitions without apparent strain. 300 pounds, Dr. Carter explained to the aliens, equals approximately 1,360 newtons of force. That's more than the total body weight of most Council species. "And this is normal?" Vextal asked weakly. "Actually below average for human males," Jake replied, sitting up from the bench. "I'm getting older, so I don't lift as much as I used." 2. Engineer Tony Smith joined them in the medical bay, wheeling in a cart loaded with equipment. The cart itself weighed over 400 pounds. But Tony pushed it effortlessly with one hand while carrying additional tools in the other. "Sorry I'm late," he said. "I was moving some heavy equipment for the new gravity adjustment chambers we're installing." The aliens watched as Tony casually lifted pieces of machinery that would require cranes and multiple operators on their worlds. His movements were efficient and controlled, showing no signs of strain. "Your technology," observed Engineer Nixel. "It must be incredibly robust to function under such gravitational stress." "Everything we build has to account for gravity," Tony explained. "Our buildings, vehicles, tools, even simple furniture. It all has to support its own weight plus whatever we put on it." Dr. Carter brought up architectural plans on her tablet. "Look at the construction of our buildings. The support beams, the foundation systems, the materials we use. Everything is over-engineered by your standards because it has to resist constant gravitational stress. Your entire civilization," Vextel said slowly, "is built to withstand forces that would destroy our cities. Not just withstand them," Jake corrected. "We harness gravity. Our construction techniques, our machinery, our transportation systems, they all use gravity as a tool." Amy demonstrated this by showing how humans used gravity-fed water systems, drop hammers for forging, and even simple pulleys that multiplied force using gravitational potential. "Every human invention," she explained, "takes gravity into account. We've learned to work with it, use it, and overcome it." The aliens began to understand that human technology wasn't crude or overbuilt, was incredibly advanced, designed to function under conditions that would be impossible for other species to imagine. "Your space program," Counselor Zoroth said, "launching vehicles from such a massive gravity well. The energy requirements must be enormous. Takes a lot of power to escape Earth's gravity," Tony admitted. "But that's also why our rockets are so reliable. They can work here. They can work anywhere." Dr. Carter showed them videos of human construction workers, athletes, and ordinary people going about their daily lives. Every activity demonstrated strength and endurance that seemed superhuman to the alien observers. "Your species, Vextel," said finally, "every single individual possesses capabilities that we considered impossible. You are not the weakest members of galactic civilization. You may be the strongest beings that have ever existed. We're just adapted to our environment," Amy replied modestly. "Every species evolves to fit their world. But your world, Engineer," Nixel said, "shaped you into something extraordinary. You are living proof that intelligence and physical power can coexist." As the day continued, more aliens recovered enough to witness demonstrations of human capability. Each display of casual strength reinforced their growing understanding that humanity represented something unprecedented in galactic history. "We must inform the Council," Vextel declared. "They need to understand what we have discovered. Humanity is not a primitive species requiring guidance. We are advanced beings whose strength exceeds our comprehension." "We appreciate that," Jake said, "but we're also interested in learning from you. Your technology, your knowledge of the galaxy, your peaceful civilization. We have much to offer each other." The foundation for a new relationship was being built, one based on mutual respect rather than condescension. The aliens had learned that first impressions could be dangerously wrong, and that true strength came in forms they had never imagined. 1 week after the alien delegation's encounter with Earth's gravity, Commander Vextal stood in the main council chamber aboard the Zenith Prime. His recovery was complete, but the experience had changed him forever. Today he would address the full Galactic Council about humanity, the vast spherical chamber filled with representatives from 300 worlds. Floating platforms held delegates from across the galaxy, each species evolved in the gentle conditions of low gravity environments. They had gathered to hear Vextel's report on the primitive species from the third planet. "Fellow council members," Vextel began, his voice carrying across the chamber through translation devices, "I stand before you today to correct a grave error in judgment. We have made assumptions about humanity based on incomplete understanding." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Many representatives had expected a simple report confirming human inferiority and their need for council guidance. "The species we called weak and primitive," Vextel continued, "are in fact the strongest beings we have ever encountered. Homeworld's gravitational force is 10 times greater than our standard, creating conditions that would kill most of us within minutes. A representative from the ethereal collective, beings of pure energy, flickered with disbelief. Surely you exaggerate, Commander? No intelligent species could evolve under such harsh conditions. I speak from direct experience, Vextel replied firmly. I nearly died simply by visiting their world's surface, yet they live there effortlessly, their bodies adapted to forces we cannot comprehend. He activated a holographic display showing footage from the human demonstrations. The council watched in stunned silence as Colonel Amy Rodriguez performed jumping jacks. Captain Jake Morrison lifted 300 pounds, and Engineer Tony Smith moved equipment that would require machinery. On any council world? These are not exceptional individuals, Vextel explained. This represents normal capability for their species. Their children possess strength that exceeds our greatest warriors. Counselor Zeroth appeared on another platform, her crystalline form still bearing faint stress fractures from her ordeal. I witnessed a human female lift twice her body weight above her head repeatedly. Such strength would require mechanical amplification on any council world. The chamber erupted in discussion. As representatives struggled to process this information, the concept of a species naturally possessing such physical power challenged everything they believed about intelligence and civilization. Supreme Counselor Thelanara, eldest member of the council, raised a tendril for silence. Her species had ruled the galaxy for millennia, and her wisdom was respected by all. If these humans are so powerful, she asked, why do they seek our alliance? Surely they could dominate the galaxy through force. That is perhaps the most remarkable thing about them, Vextel replied. Despite their incredible strength, they approach us with peaceful intentions. They seek knowledge and cooperation, not conquest. Ambassador Kevin Hayes entered the chamber at that moment, wearing a gravity suit that allowed him to function in the ship's low-gravity environment. His presence had been requested to address the council directly. Representatives of the Galactic Council, Kevin began, his voice steady and diplomatic. We come before you not as conquerors, but as potential partners. Our strength, which amazes you, is simply the result of our environment. We see it as a tool for building, not destroying. You could force your will upon us, observed a delegate from the crystalline reaches. Your physical power far exceeds anything we could resist. Physical strength without wisdom is meaningless, Kevin replied. We have spent centuries learning to control our power, to use it responsibly. War and violence solve nothing. We seek to learn from your advanced knowledge and peaceful civilization. Dr. Ben Clark joined Kevin on the platform, carrying a device that demonstrated human engineering principles. The tool, designed to function under Earth's gravity, appeared incredibly robust compared to alien technology. Our harsh environment forced us to develop engineering solutions you might find useful, Ben explained. Our materials science, structural design, and mechanical systems are built to withstand forces you've never encountered. He demonstrated the device's capabilities, showing how human tools were designed for durability and reliability under extreme conditions. The alien representatives watched with growing interest as they realized the practical applications of human technology. Engineer Nixel spoke up from his platform. Their construction methods could revolutionize our building techniques. Structures capable of withstanding such gravitational stress would be virtually indestructible under normal conditions, and their physical capabilities added another. Representative could solve problems we've considered impossible. Construction in high-gravity environments, heavy equipment operation, rescue missions in dangerous conditions. Supreme Counselor Thelanara studied Kevin and Ben with ancient wise eyes. What do your people seek from this alliance? Knowledge, Kevin replied simply. Your understanding of the galaxy, your peaceful philosophy, your advanced sciences. We offer our strength in engineering in exchange for wisdom and friendship. We do not wish to change your ways or impose our methods, Ben added. We hope to learn from each other, combining our different strengths to benefit all species. The council deliberated for hours, discussing the implications of alliance with such a powerful species. Finally, Supreme Counselor Thelanara called. For order, the council has reached a decision, she announced. We extend full membership to humanity, not as junior partners requiring guidance, but as equals deserving respect. The chamber filled with sounds of approval from hundreds of species. Vextel felt a sense of satisfaction knowing that his report had corrected the Council's misconceptions about humanity. However, Thelanara continued, we propose something unprecedented. A joint facility where both human and alien representatives can work together comfortably. Space station, Kevin suggested, positioned between our worlds with variable gravity zones to accommodate all species. Exactly, the Supreme Counselor agreed. A symbol of cooperation between the strong and the wise. 6 months later, the joint facility took shape in Earth's orbit. The station featured multiple gravity zones. From Earth-normal sections where humans worked comfortably to low-gravity areas where alien representatives could function safely. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the station's main observation deck. Watching human and alien workers collaborate on construction projects, human strength combined with alien technology created possibilities neither species could achieve alone. Commander Vextel joined him at the observation window, moving easily in the station's moderate gravity zone. Your people continue to amaze us, he said, watching a human worker lift a beam that would require a crane for most species. And your people teach us things we never imagined, Jake replied. Observing an alien engineer whose crystalline form created beautiful architectural patterns impossible for human hands, Dr. Lisa Carter approached them with a status report. The medical bay is operational, she announced. It can now treat both human and alien patients effectively. The station's medical facility had become a marvel of interspecies cooperation. Human doctors learned alien healing techniques, while alien physicians studied human physiology to understand how such powerful bodies functioned. This is only the beginning, Vextel said, looking out at the stars. Imagine what we can accomplish together. Human strength opening new worlds for exploration, alien wisdom guiding peaceful expansion. A galaxy where different species work together instead of judging each other, Jake agreed. Where strength and wisdom combine to solve problems neither could handle alone. In the station's engineering section, Tony Smith worked alongside engineer Nixel to design new tools that could function in any gravity environment. Their collaboration produced innovations that revolutionized galactic construction and exploration. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. First impressions could be wrong, and what appeared to be weakness might actually be the greatest strength. Humanity's journey from despised primitives to respected partners proved that true civilization came not from physical grace, but from the wisdom to use one's gifts responsibly. As the joint station grew and prospered, it became a symbol of hope for the entire galaxy. Different species, shaped by different worlds, could come together as equals when they looked beyond surface appearances to find the strength that lay within.